Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with our host, Christina Nichman.
Our guest today is Dave Hanley, CEO of Tomorrow. Dave is a digital entrepreneur with a passion for bringing social good to the world with his apps. He talks today about such an app, Tomorrow, created to help families make long-term financial decisions together with an easy-to-use app. You can download a copy for free today and get started using Tomorrow at tomorrow.me. Hi, Dave. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you?
Doing so great. Thanks for having me on.
You betcha. We just spoke before the interview a little bit, and you are a Seattle startup, Tomorrow, and we were just there last month. My husband had to have surgery, and it's such a tremendous city. You're doing wonderful things out there, and you're coming on today to talk about a wonderful partnership you're doing with National Financial Partners. They're the leaders in employee financial services, and you've banded with them to bring together a partnership that will better help families plan for their future financially. And it's something that a lot of people don't want to touch on, but it's so, so important, especially as you get older. You want to make sure your family's protected, your kids are protected. And so this is a wonderful partnership that you're going to talk more about. But before we go into the nitty gritty, share a little bit about your background and how you came to starting up Tomorrow.
You bet. Well, you bet. Well, I'm glad you love our town in Seattle. It's definitely a city that just keeps growing and expanding. I've had the luck and experience of building a couple of companies in the past. One sold to Amazon and another sold to Deloitte. And in that process, we had all these great young employees who helped us do that. And then especially after you sell, they start doing things like getting married and having babies. And I found that when that happened, that really none of them, no one had a will, no one had life insurance. These super smart, responsible folks just weren't getting around to doing these things. And so I found myself at all these conversations saying, yeah, have you ever heard of term life insurance? Like, it's very cheap. And I even templatized my will and would bring people to my desk and say, let's get that new baby some guardians.
Yeah.
And that was really the impetus to help me realize the truth, which is that 80% of Americans don't have any of these things. That which was for lots of reasons. And I just wanted to try and solve that problem.
I love that you mentioned this because a lot of my group of people I hang out with, and I'm in my 40s already, and they're not prepared either for a lot of this stuff. It's only now that I started to think about stuff like this that I'm having health issues in our family, and we're starting to say, okay, what happens if? And you shouldn't wait till if, because if could mean a car accident that no one plans on, and it's not a sickness or something. Things come about sometimes in unexpected ways, and you want to make sure your family is prepared. Why do you think a lot of younger people don't look at this? Is it something that's just scary to look at, or do they think it's just not a problem?
Well, I think that in the end, no one really wants a will because life insurance is the only form of insurance from which you're guaranteed to never benefit because you're not around anymore. But there are things that people want. Like they do want to make sure that their family's going to be okay. They do want to have a peace of mind around doing things like, getting away with your spouse and away from the kids a little bit and getting on that plane to Hawaii or wherever it is you're headed. That there are just moments when you just want to make sure, like, okay, like everyone's going to be okay. Nothing's probably going to happen, but everything's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But I think in general, it's because it's something that you only do once or twice in your life, typically, although you should be updating as you go along. You've never done it before. You got to go find some stranger, a lawyer, to make it with you. You want to wait till I got to wait till I have all my kids, or till I really know what I'm doing. And anyway, lots of reasons. But in the end, people don't do it. And part of it's expense and part of it's ease. And so instead we decided, you know what, we're just going to give away the wills for free. We're going to make the most beautiful visual social app on your phone that helps you make the will. And then you're going to make it together with your significant other, with friends and family, and do things, not just the will, but other important things like getting life insurance, all on your phone, and just take a few minutes to do it. And then if you want to come back and make tweaks later, you can do that as well.
I love that, Dave. I think from my perspective in the past and talking to people, I think one of the things that scares people is the thing you just mentioned, which is the ease of it. I think people think it's a really complicated process that involves really, really expensive attorneys. And no one likes to call an attorney unless absolutely necessary. My mom, for instance, I think it's almost 3 years now, she had heart failure and got rushed to the hospital. And then they said, okay, you're on your last ticker. We really can't do anything for your heart, but we suggest you go home and plan. And for her, it was lucky. A lot of my dad kind of died more quickly, and my other family members who have died in ways where the planning was not always possible. But what was good about what my mom did, when she did hear that things were not going well in her health, she immediately went home and talked to all of us and said, okay, we got to come up with a will. And she immediately set that in motion. And it made the process, when something did happen 6 months later and she did die, that it was a tough process, but it would have been a lot tougher had things not been worked out legally ahead of time.
Yeah. And first of all, I'm sorry about the loss of your parents. I went through the same thing over the last 6 years, and I know it's difficult. And especially some of the difficulty is, of course, in the loss of the parents, but some of it's also, family infighting that can happen if you don't have a plan in place. Who gets what it can be a really big deal. And so in the case of, your mom, where she can come home, first of all, just in the ride home from the hospital, you could have, as long as you're not driving, download Tomorrow. It pulls in, her name off of her phone. You invite other people to do these things. You start choosing, who's going to be the executor. They start typing in your name, and then it just pulls it from the contacts on your phone, invites you to come in and learn what your role is going to be like. So it makes it very easy. And then when you get home, your mom can just walk around and with your help, take a picture of a piece of art and say, this is going to Greg. Take a picture of the piano and say, this is going to Allison. And decide who's going to get what. And it just automatically starts getting added to your will. And it's legal in all 50 states, and you actually get to understand it a lot better than maybe the set of documents that you would get from an attorney, and to be honest, maybe not read.
Yes, exactly. I did get the will after she passed, and with the legalese and stuff, and where most of us are not going to law school, it's a little cumbersome. You're like, what is this really saying? And it is scary. It just the whole dealing with, if you're not an attorney and you're not dealing with that every day, the whole process is a little scary. We had to go to probate court. What is that all about?
Yeah.
It's a scary time when you're not familiar with all this stuff. But your app makes it so much easier, and you can even assign important roles like who's going to be the guardian, the executor, or the trustee, which a lot of people aren't familiar with those words. Share a little bit about what that means for people listening if they're not familiar with those terms.
Yeah, there's 3 primary roles in Tomorrow. So there's your guardian. That's the most obvious, is the person who's going to love and look after your kids. The second one is called an executor. So the executor is in charge of the will. And a will just means that, when I die, I want all my money at once to go to these people, which is good if your kids are all grown up. And it's pretty easy to use. But they're basically the person who then gets a bunch of powers, like, they can talk to your bank, and they can, they can get access to your money and move things around and pay your taxes and such, and help basically everything get finished up. And so this is usually a responsible friend or family member who's going to do this for you. And then the third one's a trustee. And this is something that I think is really important for everyone to understand, which is, only 5% of Americans have a trust set up. And I think that's a huge mistake. If you have children at home, and there's 2 things that you should have in my mind. One is a trust, and one is life insurance. Enough life insurance to make sure that kids are going to go to college and there's not going to be any, poverty for your kids. And then a trust. So a trust is something that's it's like a living thing. So instead of dumping, it might take $1 million to get 2 kids through college and through, 10 more years of growing up. And unless you want to dump that money on your kids when they turn 18, which can have really adverse effects, you really do need a trust. And that trust allows someone called your trustee to take care of the health, the education, the support of your child over time when they're young and even when they're adults. And then when the kids are older, then you can decide, within tomorrow, how much you want them to have at age 27 or age 30, 35, so that you can help them get launched in the world and not have the money affect them.
Mm-hmm. And is a trust usually handled by a banking organization or an attorney?
So the document is created, so you can create it for free using Tomorrow, or you can hire an attorney. And so that's the document. And then when it comes time after you pass away, the trust then comes into action, and the trustee will set up a bank account. But basically, the trustee has all the powers. You don't need to have a separate bank involved in making the decisions. The trustee is just there acting on behalf of your children. So this is someone who you trust to do that. You can also, I should say, hire trustee organizations, but it's usually, that's going to cost you, several $1,000s a year to run the trust.
Yeah. You don't want to do that. But I also love that your app allows you to fully see what your net worth is, get a full picture of your finances, where you at, so you can plan to where you want to end up and where you hope to keep things going forward for your family, so you have a clear picture of where you're going.
Absolutely. I think that, the net worth calculator allows you to sync all of or add all of your accounts and see where you're at. And then we use that information to do things like outline what accounts should be in your trust, to help you determine if you have a gap in insurance that you need to close, and then ultimately help make recommendations on, hey, if you have a child, you need guardians in your will, you need this much life insurance, and you need to start an education savings account.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's one aspect that I really, really totally liked about the app, and that was you can record and share video memories that you can carry on for generations and generations. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, thanks. The video memories feature is part of how we make this. I mean, we've been talking about wills, and you keep talking about the challenges of dying. But really, this is something that's really built around family financial wellness. And so the video memories feature, we take all of your family relationships, which could be kids and nieces and nephews and whoever is in your tomorrow world, your intimate group of friends and family who you might be giving a piece, even like a piece of art to. And you can leave memories about them, about your life, about growing up, and just record them in these great little circles, these portals, these video memories that you leave for people, and you can share them now or share them later. All secure, so it's really not, this isn't a YouTube video. This is something that you that's really meant for your family, but it's really compelling, and people are really liking it. We just launched it.
Yeah, I just love that aspect. I've heard of people leaving what they call like a time capsule for their kids when they're gone. One person I heard of, I think their grandma or grandpa was like over 100. And so they put all these stories together of what it was like living in the early 1900s and kept it so the family and future generations could keep it and have that memory capsule that, is a part of their history that they could always hand off from generation to generation. I think it's really cool as well with your app that they could pass it on, and then their children could leave their story, and it could be an ongoing generational time capsule.
Absolutely. And these are little things. It's not just what are the landmark moments in your life, but what was your first car, or what, do you remember your first date, or whatever it is about, day-to-day life. And I'll tell you what, these stories are super compelling.
Oh, they are. And what I think I heard that one of the things that people learn from the most and also get the most pull from is actually hearing other people's stories. It's not, the more technical aspects, like, oh, I grew up in Germany and like, no, where did you meet my grandpa? Like, that's what my great grandma used to say. My grandma used to say my great grandma was working in a restaurant and she was she was everything in the restaurant. She was the waitress. She was this and that. She ran the whole restaurant. But she met my grandpa. He came in with a little flower on his lapel. She thought he was really handsome, and so she gave him the extra eggs, and the rest is history. But, we would always be told that story as a kid, and it was just so cool. Like, ooh, great grandma. She was into grandpa. And it just, you can get that little picture, that movie going on in your head. It's just so sweet.
Absolutely. So I think you really do understand, and that everything that we do, again, like, you may not want to, set up a college account for your kids. Like, oh, it's a good idea. But actually, it's all part of you and your legacy that you're leaving for your family as you're, helping the next generation to learn from and grow from all of your experiences. So actually, the family history and storytelling combined with, the financial savvy and just making like one good decision today that's going to help move your family forward, it's all actually really intertwined.
It is. How did this come about that you even formed the partnership for one and then created the app? How did that all come about?
So the app came first. So I was motivated by this and really saw that, if we just put some of these things together that people aren't doing right now, all into one really interesting experience, then maybe we can help people to move it forward. And now we have, tens of thousands of users on the app already. Mm-hmm. And then we were noticed by NFP. And NFP is, a company that you've never heard of, that is the largest benefits broker in the country. So millions of people get their benefits from work through them. And they looked at us and said, wow, we could bring this to all of our wealth management clients, people who they're helping to be as financial advisors. We could bring this to every employee at this employer. And as we launch now, actually the premium version of Tomorrow, which is going to include lots of new features, we're actually able to bring that premium version to all of these employers so that that everyone can have access to even new features that are coming out. And so, NFP is here to, they want to be super innovative about how they go about serving their customers and making sure that they understand all about insurance and all about savings. And they see us as a key part of that, of telling that message.
I can completely see that. Now, will the premium version be free, or is that a paid function?
So Tomorrow is free. You can download it and get your will for free. The trust is part of what's called Tomorrow Plus, as are other features that are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So we'll not share them now, but just come to Tomorrow and you can see what else we're launching. And it is but it's a great, it's the free version of Tomorrow is going to have so many things that you need, but there's just going to be extra in Tomorrow Plus.
And it'll just totally rock it even more. And this is great. Now, how do people get started today? Do you have to be part of an organization and have it run through your human resource system, or can anyone download it and use it today?
So anyone can use it. If you are like an HR professional or you want to talk to us, just reach out. Shoot me an email, dave@tomorrow.me. That's great. If that's not what you do and you just say, hey, I want this for myself, just pull up the App Store, Android or iOS, and type in Tomorrow and you'll see us right there. Or go to tomorrow.me and learn about what we're doing and then download the app for free.
Wow. Well, I'm working with some clients in Manhattan. I think I'm going to send them your app because I think they need to get this out to all their employees. This is tremendous. I've never heard of such a comprehensive app that could give people this much and all these functions for free. Just totally awesome. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming up with this.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, for me, I was really motivated as I was working on the idea for some reason, it was just this moment in time when I saw all these GoFundMes rolling through my social media feeds for men who seemed just like me, who were doing everything right, had the family, the mortgage and all that, but just never got around to doing things like wills and life insurance. And then something happens. And all of a sudden their family is careening towards a very preventable form of poverty. And it just seemed like an important enough social issue that needed to be solved. And I think we've really cracked the nut on it. They're going to keep working on it. This is going to be, a long part of my career is going to be dedicated to making this happen. So thanks for helping us get the word out.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And thank you so much. So they can go to the App Store, Google Play. Where is the best place to get the app? Tomorrow?
Yeah, just type in tomorrow or go to tomorrow.me, so tomorrow.me, and you can download the app.
Fabulous. Well, Dave, I just have to thank you again. I have to thank Tomorrow for creating this wonderful app, and also thank National Financial Partners, NFP, for really sticking it out there and realizing how important it is to bring this to all their employees. And hopefully all of these other companies that listen in will think the same thing, because people need to realize that in order to protect your family and yourselves and not have that worry in the back of your mind, they have to go and get Tomorrow today. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming to Savvy Business Radio.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Savvy Business Radio broadcasts worldwide via a large podcast network, celebrating business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, and successful individuals. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina@savvybusinessradio.com.